Welcome back to Full Disclosure in our interview with the recently released Dr. Richard I. Fine. As a noted attorney, Dr. Fine had a significant reputation as a litigator. You would think that when he was attacked by the state bar and Judge Yaffe, that other attorneys would come to his aid. Apparently, when you accuse the legal system of corruption, you do so all alone. No attorney would represent him.
I had one person in the beginning, Dave Naftalin, who's an attorney, but he didn't act in the capacity of an attorney. He really, in the very first petition, he acted as the writing person to just make sure that everything was in proper form. I actually did all of the dictating and everything else because he was not, he didn't have any knowledge in criminal law or anything else on this order. There was no attorney, and we looked into a number of people. There was no attorney that was really willing to take this case on.
How about the American Civil Liberties Union? They have an ongoing contract with the Los Angeles County Sheriff and are handsomely paid as jail monitors. Apparently, attorneys jailed in retribution for identifying corruption in the LA court doesn't fit within their criteria of protecting civil liberties.
The ACLU told us that they didn't have the resources to take the case on. And I found this very interesting because the ACLU has the resources to challenge the cross on the LA County's stationery or on their seal. But to take on the issue of the basic issue of the constitutional rights in our judicial system, there they don't have the resources. So I mean, and there was no other attorney who was willing to take the case on.
After serving 18 months in jail, we had to ask the most glaring question. Why did you do it?
Why? Well, I think I had time to contemplate this. I'll say initially, let me come at that in an oblique way. When I first did it, I knew all the law was on my side. I did not anticipate that I was going to be in jail for 18 months. And the reason for that is that it was unheard of for anyone to be in jail for more than 5 days. So in my calculations of looking at this, I figured that I probably would be in jail for maybe 5 days because the Civil Code of Civil Procedure said that it's 5 days is contempt of court, and that's going to be about it. So that was, I misjudged on that one. I readily admit I did not realize that the hatred of the judges who were getting the criminal payoffs was so great that they were going to do everything possible to keep me in here, and that the other parts of the judiciary was going to try and cover these payments up.
Because of his background as a corruption fighter, Dr. Fine felt he was uniquely qualified to take on the California judicial system, and that fact almost demanded that he and he alone stand up and defy the court.
My history was different than any other lawyer in the system, and that's a unique thing to say because one will say, how can this person sit in front of us and say that he's different than all 208,000 lawyers? But it happens to be true because I had a background of prior to coming into this suit that starting from about 1993 onwards, between 1993 and I think it was probably 1993 through about 1997, or even into maybe 1998, I filed cases against the state government, county governments, and city governments for illegally taking money out of trust funds and special funds, or to stop them from illegally putting on assessments, or not taxes because you need votes for taxes, but other fees.
Fully knowing what was about to happen, Dr. Fine stood up in front of Superior Court Judge David Yaffe and accused him of taking illegal payments. He stood there in respectful defiance, refusing to back down on principle.
I did it because of the fact that it was the right thing to do. And it's as really as simple is that, you know, we live in a country where we have a rule of law, and the rule of law basically says that a judge doesn't take a payoff. A judge doesn't take a bribe. And here we had not only Judge Yaffe, I mean, he's the face on this, but he represents 90% of the judges in California. And I backed that figure up by a study that came out, I think came out in 2008 or 2009, by the Administrative Office of the Courts of California that did the study. And they said 90% of these judges were getting this money. So consequently, we had a system that had gone awry. There was no way in the system that somebody was going to get a fair trial.
This principled stand cost him more than a year of his life. Solitary coercive confinement, alone in a cold concrete cell, knowing that dangerous felons are released after serving only half their sentence. He was jailed, never having been charged or convicted, potentially forever. There was no end in sight, ever. Never seeing the sun, never breathing fresh air. How was he able to maintain his principled stand for so long, we asked him.
The only way that one survives in a situation where you do not have any control over your life, and you're in a situation that somebody can come down and do something on you, against you at will, is to adopt an attitude that you're going to make it through. And in adopting that attitude, I also adopted the attitude that there is nothing that is going to get me aggravated. Because if you let things get to you, you'll go crazy. You know, you will go totally and completely berserk. Because remember, I'm in a room that is 7.5 feet wide, 13 feet long from the door to the wall, but the basic room, by the time you take away the facilities for the sink and the toilet, is really down to 8 feet long and maybe 8 feet high. White walls, no windows, lights are on 24 hours a day. No exercise. This was my life for 18 months.
He worked hard to maintain his physical and mental fortitude.
I tried to keep myself basically in good physical condition because of the fact without exercise or anything else, your condition deteriorates very, very quickly. And so the conditioning combined with the attitude that I was going to make it through, and a lot of the support that I was getting, you know, from the outside and from letters that were coming in and comments that I was hearing and everything, that really brought me through it also.
And so he survived, and now he's out. We want to know what you, the viewers, think. Do you think that he should continue his fight against the widespread cancer of corruption in our justice system? Or is it a battle that cannot be won? Please call our Full Disclosure Town Hall number and let us know what you think at 1-800-867-7777. That's 1-800-867-7777. And if you leave your name and number, we'll get back to you. Or you can log on to our website at fulldisclosure.net and leave your opinion there. And if you leave your email address, we'll be happy to respond. Please join us in the next edition of the Full Disclosure, where Dr. Fine will explain what he thinks we need to do to put justice back into our justice system. That's coming up in the next edition of Full Disclosure. I'm Leslie Dutton. Thank you.
To respond to this question or comment on this program, please call 800-867-7777 or visit fulldisclosure.net. Transcripts or DVD copies of this program are also available on our website. Full Disclosure, the news behind the news.